There's always a conflict when you are the brand, when you are the creator of the products, when each product has your own personal story with it, they are like your family.
And I want a good show, damn it. Ready for a good show?
Doing awesome, yeah. I'm excited to talk to you, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I've always been big into archery, and my dad said, "Hey, you guys want to start an archery store?"
That's how I always do.
Andrew, yes, of course. Let's do this together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Ecomm Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ecomm Show. I'm your host, Andrew Maff, as usual, and today I am joined by the amazing Dr. Anna Cabeca, who is the CEO and owner of The Girlfriend Doctor. Dr. Anna, how are you ready? How are you doing? Are you ready for a good show?
I am ready. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you on the show. Obviously, I always have to do my fun little research ahead of time. I know that you've got a big social media following. You've written a ton of books. There's so many things to talk about. I always like to do the stereotypical thing in the beginning, kind of let you take the stage and just tell us a little bit about how you got started, where you've been, and obviously about the Girlfriend Doctor, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am trained as a gynecologist and obstetrician, and I trained at Emory University, and I was a National Health Service Corps scholar. So what that means is that they paid for majority of my medical education, and so once I
Nice.
finished, I was obliged to work in an underserved area. So, like for example, an Indian reservation, an inner city HIV clinic, a rural underserved population. So I chose the rural underserved population, and I started a solo practice in Southeast Georgia in an area below, like an hour below Savannah. And it was an old shrimping village. And I was the only OBGYN that was ever there. So I kind of had a brick and mortar practice for a long time. So I started in this and I recognized that there are so many areas, just foundational basics, first of all, that I didn't understand, that I didn't learn in med school or in residency, dealing with women's hormones and optimizing their hormonal health. So they're not destined to a life of multiple prescriptions and surgeries and complications as a result of those as well. So I had to fill my doctor's bag. And from there, I, started, researching and writing and teaching. And so I started I started in the online space. First, was the e-zines and my website. And then it was creating online programs and then customizing products for me and my patients that really serve the underlying issues versus band-aiding the problems. So for my own personal need and journey, early 2000s, I started in the online space, tapping my feet into it, so to speak.
Yeah. So back then, I mean, it sounds like, so you were creating your own products back then, your own, obviously, medications, things like that for your patients to take. What was the thought process there? Because I've never in my life gone to a doctor and then been like, oh, let me make you something. It's always like, here, take this, here, take this, here, take this. So what was the thought process of like, no, I'm just going to create my own?
Well, first it was from my own journey. So, with as much as I knew, I struggled with early menopause, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and then, an infertility. And so, I took a healing. To be honest, like I closed my practice. I was like, my doctor's bag is empty. If I, you know, everything I've learned, nothing helps me.
Yeah.
And I was devastated. So I took a healing journey around the world. Literally, took a year sabbatical from my practice, burned out, and I just started serendipitously, not really in search of, but serendipitously finding out about medicinal foods like maca in Peru, the acerola cherry from Brazil, Uña de gato herb, and different combinations that have been time tested to use to help people. And it really opened my eyes to what was possible. And as a result of that journey, learning different foods and lifestyle modalities as I went along and observed and lived with many indigenous people, it reversed my early menopause at age 30, at age 39 that I was diagnosed with. And at age 41, I naturally conceived the child I was told I would never be able to have.
Wow.
So part of that journey was like finding what worked for me. And so I first customized a blend of superfood that was for me, for my family, and hey, maybe my patients will benefit from this too. And that started in 2007, where I really started customizing the you know superfoods or these products. But prior, I'd been customizing with compounded formulas, hormonal treatments. So using a compounding pharmacy to create bioidentical progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, estrogen, or and estriol combinations, and working customizing the hormonal aspect of my patients as well. So
Wow. So jumping ahead, how do we get into the girlfriend doctor? Where do you decide like, okay, we're going to make this, a big business and start to grow into that?
yeah, and it really came out of need. So now in the online space, I'm known as the girlfriend doctor. Actually, Sherry Salata, who was Oprah's executive producer, coined me as that in a discussion we were having, and I was working with her, and she's like, "You're my girlfriend doctor. I can ask and tell you anything." And so from there, an entrepreneurial group of women said, "Okay, that is your brand." And so because the white coat syndrome is real, because many times, and I've had this experience myself, unrelatable to the physician I'm seeing, and also kind of don't want to share all my
Yeah.
inner secrets with the physician that I'm seeing. And
Yeah.
so it really created this relatable relationship. And with that, further working with my product lines and my programs to reach everyone online. But this really, the real I'd started um, prior to 2018 in working with my products, my custom formulas, et cetera. And I had created a topical cream for women, a couple topical creams for women to help with hormone issues and sexual health. And so in this time because in 2013 to 2016, it's like really burning out from my practice. And to be honest, I was a single mom, taking care of my kids, had PTSD and a solo practice, and I burn out. But my patients were like, Dr. Anna, no one will give us your creams and formulas, and I said to them, I said, I'm going to come up with something that's over the counter. You don't need a prescription for, that's better than anything I can write on a prescription pad. And I did. And so I brought that online in 2016, 2017, and brought in trial size, the online space, created the customer journey and nurture and education sequence, because I know from my own life, there's never just a solution in a cream, a potion, a powder, but you have to have the education, the disciplines, the practices that really serve you. And so I created the products online programs, including sexual CPR and magic menopause and keto green 16, to really help the broader understanding and taking the lifestyle approach and the education to the patient, to the
Yeah.
client.
What's been the approach on getting it out there? Like I know that obviously you're basically an influencer. You've got hundreds of thousands of I think you're pushing like 100,000 on Instagram, same thing on Facebook. Like you've got quite the following. So
Thank
are
you.
you essentially uh remaining as the face of the business and using your platform to kind of scale it from there, or are you kind of thinking like, okay, eventually I want to get the products separated from the personal brand?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There's always a conflict when you are the brand, when you are the creator of
Hmm.
the products, when each product has your own personal story with it. They are like your family, right? Like, so okay, I'm not ready to disown any member of my family, so I continue on the Girlfriend Doctor brand, where my product line and education programs are, and then the personal brand is the Dr. Anna, so dranna.com. And that is me in clinic, me with more of the education pieces. So it has a little bit distinction, but it's so interwoven. However, I do think, maybe in the future that I would sell off a product line.
Yeah.
Uh, but It feels like I would be disowning a child at this point.
Yeah. So, it's always kind of interesting in that scenario too, right? Because I also know like you've got like a master class going on that people can sign up for. So there's even like kind of a consulting element to it. So
Mm.
you've almost sort of developed like it's almost like there's part of it that's like a media company, right? Like you've got a ton of content and classes that people can take and all this information, but you're also selling product on the side. And so then it kind of becomes like, okay, what's the focus and how do I approach that? Have you kind of thought about either like is the thought to eventually separate those as well, or do you kind of like the idea of like the media elements helping sell the products as well?
The media elements helping sell the products
Yeah.
because you want the confidence and the relationship with the product. The longer you use the product, the better it works. And so I think that just goes in to reinforce the, the connection between the two.
Yeah. So you've got a pretty decent product line too, right? Like how many actual different SKUs do you have?
Over 20, over
Yeah.
20 different SKUs.
So tell me about some of those. What's the thought on like, is there plans to roll out additional, like, or are you just consistently iterating what you've got?
Yeah. So, as part of as the product line grew, first was my formulation of the 30 superfoods combined, which is my Mighty Maca Plus formulation that works as adaptogenic blend, which is also alkalinizing and good for the gut microbiome. So, for women and men, it's a great, great foundational nutritional supplement. And so and it's hard for those margins. It was always a struggle with margins and everything because it's a high quality product.
Yeah.
And so the margin's smaller and it's complex, 30 ingredients. And so with my other formulation, my balance cream, which is progesterone, pregnenolone, and the anti-aging skin ingredient tripeptide that I included in there. Again, for women, I don't know about guys, but for women, we're use a cream if it has a cosmetic benefit. It's great that it's hormonally balancing. It's great that it's good for mood, sleep, all that good stuff. But if it reduces fine lines, wrinkles, and removes age spots, hey, yeah, I'm all in, right? I'm going to use it regularly. So that
Yeah.
was my personal experience and also why I created that combination. And then my Julva cream, which is the anti-aging cream for the vulva with DHEA and plant stem cells. So it's a simpler, very, very clean formula, but a topical cream. So in the cosmetic line for the vulva and pelvic floor. And so those margins were better, and I found too that, I had the first vulvar cream on the market. No one was talking about vulvar creams and anything other than estrogen vaginally. I'm like, what about the rest of the anatomy down there? It's important to keep it healthy. And I was using that in my patients. I also found out that, for myself and for my patients, that it's a pain to use vaginal products. So topical works really, really well. And just
Yeah.
like adding it to your skincare routine, you put things on your face, you put things on your vulva. So you got to add that to your skincare routine. So a very unique product. And when it hit the market, it scaled to over seven figures in the first year. It was a
Oh, wow.
struggle there. I was near broke. I mean, I remember the time we didn't think, one and a half employee, essentially, one and two part-time employees. And, we weren't sure we were gonna make the electric bill. So that was not that long ago, 2016. And
Wow.
so when I'd been researching and formulating, and I think that's the risk online when you are customizing, it's a lot for R&D. It's a lot for development. It's a lot for the marketing, but it resonated. I was already a trusted voice in the space, and that really helped. And so my number one product that people come to for me is my Julva cream, is the vulvar cream addressing incontinence issues, vulvar dryness, sexual pleasure. It's that people have come to. So recognizing over the years, as I get distracted, any entrepreneur listening can relate to that. You start like, oh, let's make this, let's bring this in, and all very important for foundational health and hormone balance. But we get distracted and we lose margin and we lose momentum. So I've gone through that a couple times, enough to learn, I think, to stay really focused. So my number one product line and is my signature product, Julva. And so around sexual health, women's sexual health, intimacy, incontinence issues. Um, so so that part became the it has become and evolved again into the focus of my business around that topic. So with that hormonal health, understanding why DHEA is better than estrogen for vulvar health and safer for if there's a man in the picture, right? So all of these things have come into play. And so, really working on the education piece and focus driven around this aspect of the product line comes into play. And then from there, with the Julva, okay, cream for the vulva, excellent. And then the balance cream, also anti aging, but important for sleep. It is with progesterone, pregnenolone. Pregnenolone is so often forgotten in the hormone world. And then again, the tripeptides, who you use it regularly for the skin benefits, that those marry together with Mighty Maca. So as an internal, working with the the superfoods, working on the inside, and then externally working on the outside, that's become a very foundational bundle now. So people come in using, with Julva, and then like, oh well, this works. Let me try what else she has. And I think I've really kept to that quality. And as I think of course, I'm always creating. So, okay, what else do we need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned, I think it was for the Volver cream, that you were basically, there was the first one out there, right? There was no competitor.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I know that obviously when you're a first mover, it can be extremely profitable and very beneficial, but it's a nightmare to educate the market, to explain like, hey, here's something new that you didn't even know you needed. So how did you kind of start getting that messaging out and getting people to try something like that?
Yeah, yeah. So I think it came with, oh gosh, how did I do it? First, it was addressing my patient population because I had retired. I'm back in practice now here in Dallas, Texas, but I had retired my practice in Southeast Georgia. So first, it was I had my clients who were already waiting for what I could get them and had already
Yeah.
trusted me. So that trusted patient base of over 10,000 women, a good segment of them were like, okay, as soon as I had it out, they wanted it. And then they were getting results. And then we had testimonials. And then I heard their stories. Right. And so then I realized, okay, this is it was a hard sell initially. First of all,
Yeah.
women are like, don't talk to me about down there in the 2014. Don't talk to me about down there. Or I'm fine. Or my doctor said just to use vaginal estrogen. But who came to me more and more and more with these clients who had history of breast cancer and weren't getting any options for hormones. I'm like, the research is here. The one reason I started creating my formulas were for my breast cancer patients that no one would touch, right? And they were left to suffer, to struggle, vaginal dryness, pain, tearing, recurrent urinary tract infections, all of those things. And no one was helping them. We're like, we can't even give you estrogen, which is not true. But DHA has been well studied in breast cancer patients as well as testosterone. And so was able, they started coming. And so with that, I decided, because my price point for Julva as a cream, 60-day supply, is $69. Kind of fun number, right? So a little twist on some humor here, some $69. But that's and it's less than I could compound it for even a 2 month or 1 month prescription, and Julva lasted 2 months. So it was a lower price point, but it was high for a lot of people, 69. And so I started doing the trial sizes. I'm like, let's just send
Ah,
out trials and to my physician colleagues, and educating in the physician space that there's an option for women with history of breast cancer. There's an option other than estrogen, which can cross contaminate the male, and you're dealing with his problems with too much estrogen. And potentially, or the woman has to worry about timing in addition to when she can schedule in sex, right? It's not good.
yeah.
And so I started with the trial size, and that initiating the trial sizes is what took me really out of being nearly broke, giving people the opportunity to experience it
Wow.
for free, with a small amount of shipping, right? If they live local, they could come pick up a sample, one free sample, and it lasted for 7 days, or they can pay for shipping online. And so we started initiating that in 2017. And that's what really took the business
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, that's we find that to be a really good approach for anything that you're putting on your body anywhere, or even like CPG stuff, like anything you're ingesting. Like, it's so challenging to get someone to be open to trying something that's going to change their body just in general in any way, shape, or form. And so that kind of trial element makes a lot of sense. Have you obviously you sell on the website. I'm sure you've got products in your practice, but like, where are you available now outside of those places? If anywhere, are you thinking about expanding it anywhere else? What's the plan for kind of scaling?
Yeah, we're in over 150 medical offices. And so
Okay.
which means a lot, and functional offices often, which is, the highest, I
Mhm.
say the highest screening level, right? Your functional
Yeah.
doctor is very aware of what to and not to put in and on the body. So we're in over 150 medical offices. We're online at dranna.com on my website, and also on Amazon. We have our products there as well.
How are you liking Amazon, considering some of the margin comments you mentioned?
Yeah, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. Initially, when we got on Amazon, it was like a lot of trial and error, and we went on, was it around 2012 with my Mighty Maca supplement. So the
Hmm.
margins weren't good. I was like barely breaking even each month with that. And then I brought in Jolva, and so we started using. First, it was a little tricky to get Jolva on the market. Number one, a sexual health product, forget it, you get banned. I'm like, wait, it's ridiculous. And the
Yeah.
words that we had to use, I mean, we've had to jump through two hoops really to get it on the market in the early years. So in 2017, I'd hired an Amazon specialty group to work to do that, and we were plateaued. Like, we'd hit, seven figures on Amazon annually, and then plateaued for 2 to 3 years. And now we've reapproached it over this last year with and one of our internal my marketing officer online for my online business, and he's really targeted Amazon well. It's still, the margins are a challenge, but
Hmm.
we've grown 30% this year.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I would think for a product line like yours, Amazon would be very interesting. I could see it being a really good customer acquisition channel, but I could also see it just being more of like I needed this and I need to get it in like 2 days kind of thing. So I know that it's also available on Amazon. Let me go get it there.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me at all. That's very interesting though.
Yeah.
Um,
We prefer them to come to the website, right? So we
yeah,
don't lose
don't we all?
30% to Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so that's a
Doctor.
piece too, though. Oh, sorry. But that's a piece too. In our inserts, here's a free ebook. Here's,
Mhm.
more education around this that we can provide to you. And that's working really well at, creating cross-linking between Amazon and our website.
Yeah, I mean the insert side of things with Amazon is always very interesting. Some people like, Amazon's terms of service, there's like a gray area with what you can and can't do. But I love the idea of sending them to like an ebook and be like, hey, let me continue to educate you. It's kind of like that added value to help them feel like, okay, the purchase I made is a smart one and these
Yeah.
people know what they're talking about, as opposed to the countless knockoffs that can be found on Amazon at all times.
Sure.
But Dr. Anna, I really appreciated having you on the show. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you're super busy. I would love to give you the opportunity to let us know about where we can find more about you and, of course, more about the Girlfriend Doctor.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. You can find me at dranna.com. So dranna.com is my website, and on social media at the Girlfriend Doctor.
Easy enough.
Mhm.
Dr. Anna, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone who tuned in, of course, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the Ecomm Show.